Okay, so we will start for the today's session. That is the first sessions probably because first we have studied about the introduction, and now we are going to study about the first topic. That is nothing but an introduction. The first unit, which tells us about the basic introduction to biomedical engineering, and then scope of biomedical engineering. What are the basically block diagram for the biomedical engineering and okay. So we will start with this today's topic. So what is your idea about the biomedical engineering? What do you think? Already I have given you introduction, but basically what is in your mind that you can be able to just pick it down. Okay. Anybody else want to speak about this? Okay, anyway. Why this subject we are going to study, where it is useful, and what we are going to study in this subject, and how we are going to study in this subject. This is the basic. Any subject, whenever you are studying any subject, you must have a curiosity why we are studying this particular subject. What is why what benefits we'll get, why we are going to study this, why to study this. Okay, what anybody, any of you can tell me? Akanksha, can you be able to tell why we are going to study this subject? Can you speak?
Yes, sir. To know about biological aspects,
Very good.
human body.
We can know about the biological aspect, or we will be able to understand this what is the instrumentation associated with the biology, how the engineering is used in the biological field. Okay, and very important thing is that whatever the parameters, health parameter of ourself, oneself, we are going to study. Okay, so this is what we are going to why answer for this why where this is useful, कुठे वापरल्या जातील हे खुशी का सांगू शकतेस का वेअर इट विल बी ऍप्लिकेबल.
तर हॉस्पिटल्समध्ये वगैरे म्हणजे मशीन्स असतात,
व्हेरी
ते
गुड व्हेरी गुड करेक्ट
इंजिनियर्सच
आन्सर.
बनवतात ना.
बरोबर आहे, व्हेरी गुड करेक्ट आन्सर आहे. हॉस्पिटलमध्ये इक्विपमेंट आहेत वेगवेगळे. आपण आता ऐकतोय ब्लड प्रेशरचं मशीन असतं, सीटी कॉम्प्युटर टोमोग्राफी इज देअर, MRI इज देअर. ओके, so the instrumentation associated that is helpful and it is used in the hospitals or some research laboratories. Okay, or wherever you want to understand or do a analysis of a specific disease by using the different instruments. That is the subject of the biomedical engineering. Okay, you are now very well aware of these COVID situations, and in that COVID situations you know that the data analysis is going on. What is the oxygen content, then what is this breathing, particularly breathing respiration rate of one person. Okay, so these are the few things, so this analysis can be done. What we are going to study, already we have discussed about the curriculum aspect, what we are going to study in this particular subject, and how that is the unit wise that we know it. Okay, so this is what is the introduction, what you can see. So you just can read it. So whatever the things we have discussed, the same thing it is written here. It deals with a wide spectrum of life sciences, that is biology. Okay, this is what is told here is about the biology. Okay, it deals with the wide spectrum of life sciences, that is plants, animals, insects, or in nutshell all living organisms that we are going to study. Okay, so out of these all living organisms, if we separate out a human being, we can call it as a medical science. Okay, that is the MBBS degree that we know. And out of that medical science, if you want to study the engineering principles in the medical science, that branch, resulting branch will be the medical engineering. Okay, so this engineering and instrumentation is defined as science of using measurement. All you are the final year instrumentation budding engineers now. Okay, going out to be the engineers. So we know instrumentation is about the measurement, and that measurement specifically in the medical science. Engineering principle applied in the medical science, we can call it as a medical engineering. Now, what is the scope of this? Okay. So, what is the scope? We can understand the mechanism in our body. We can understand the efficiencies and physical changes of the various subsystems of the body, to evolve the instrumentation system for diagnosis, therapy, and to obtain qualitative and quantitative knowledge through different instruments which can help for analysis of the disorders. In short, we can understand what our body is consisting of. What are the different systems in the body? Okay. So basically, you know, what is the basic functional unit of the body? Any of you can answer? Which is the basic functional unit of the body? Basic functional unit काय असतं? Yes. Atharva, what is the basic functional unit of the body?
Sir, cell.
Cell. These cell will come together to form what? Hemant? Basic functional unit of the body is cell. If the cells come together, it forms a
Tissues.
tissue. Yes. And if tissues come together, it forms Komal.
Organs, sir, organs.
I asked to the Komal. So basic functional unit is cell. Cell comes together to form the tissue. Tissues come together to form organ, and organs come together to form Mukta.
The organ system.
Okay, organ systems it will form a system. We can call it as a system. Okay. Can you name any of the system? ओमकार एखाद्या सिस्टीमचं नाव सांगता येईल का आपल्या बॉडी मधल्या? Can you name any system in the body? Can you name any organ? Poonam? Can you name any organ, body organ?
Respiratory system, digestive system.
Very good. So this cardiovascular system, digestive system, okay, respiratory system. These are the different systems that are available in the body. Okay. So we are going to understand about these different systems, that is biochemical, electrical systems in our body, that is thermal system, hydraulic systems, pneumatic systems, okay, so magnetic systems, so and changes of various subsystems of the body in the normal states. Okay, so this is what we are going to study. That is the scope. The study of medical principles from the biomedical engineering involves all these. Now, what is the history? Where does it starts? The biomedical engineering, or where is the first? What is the first equipment and where it starts? Okay, so the stethoscope is the first medical instrument of its own kind, and that was invented by a scientist, Planet. Okay, so this initially the doctors, Vaidyas were there, they will depend upon the pulse rate. Okay, Nadi Parikshan म्हणत होतो आपण आधी. So they are going to use just take the pulses, count the pulses, and based upon your rhythm of the pulses, they are going to find out the various diseases or various abnormalities. And that abnormalities are related to which of the organ, that is they are going to find it out. Okay, that is what is the particularly history. Basically, first is the stethoscope, that is all. Now, classification of the biomedical instruments. So, what is this slide indicates you the classification of biomedical instruments based upon the criteria. So, these are the different criteria, and these criteria are basically classified into the two main criteria, that is the engineering classification and medical classification. Okay, So as far as the engineering classification is concerned, it is based upon the sub classification like this. Okay, so just I'll show you. So engineering classification, you can see it is based upon the indicating instruments, those instruments which are responsible for indication, the instruments which are responsible for recording, the instruments which are responsible for monitoring, the instruments which are responsible for data logging, analysis instruments, and the instruments which are taking few controls. So these are the classification, engineering classification, and these are the criteria. So we can call this design criteria 1, this as criteria 2, this as criteria 3, criteria 4, and criteria 5. Okay. Similarly, medical classification is based upon the sub criteria. There is diagnostic instruments which can be able to diagnose, give the suggestion, therapeutic instruments, and the supplementary instruments. Okay, so we will see one by one what is that engineering classification and what it is coming in that engineering classification. So engineering classification of the instrument, that is the measuring instruments. So audiometer, which is used the measuring level, blood cell counter, counting the blood cells, blood pressure meter, which is used to measure the blood pressure of the human being, blood pH meter, which is the instrument which is used to measure the pH in the blood, level of the pH in the blood. Then, okay, anyway, can you tell me what is the pH of the blood basically? Is it towards the basic or is it is acidic? Is it acidic? Any one of you can answer? ब्लडचा पीएच काय असतो, ऍसिडिक असतं का बेसिक असतं जनरल? साक्षी टेंभुर्णे.
सर बेसिक असतो.
बेसिक. ओके, बेसिक म्हणजे त्याची व्हॅल्यू किती असायला पाहिजे, अंदाजे कुठल्या रेंज मध्ये असायला पाहिजे?
म्हणजे सर 7.7 च्या रेंज मध्ये असायला पाहिजे.
व्हेरी गुड. ओके, सो इट इज टुवर्ड द बेसिक. देन ब्लड फ्लो मीटर. So we can use our flow meters for measurement of the blood flow. Okay, then digital BP meter, which is nothing but the measuring the blood pressure again, but in the digital instrument it is used. First one, what it is, digital blood pressure, that is conventional, what doctors are used. Stethoscope, it is nothing but for measurement of the heartbeats. We can be able to just listen to the heartbeats. Another category is the recording instruments. So recording instrument, first one is electrocardiograph. Okay, it is called as ECG. Okay. So it is ECG. What is ECG? It is related to what? ECG is related to heart measurements. EMG is related to what? EMG काय असतं? श्रेजल. Sushant, do you know? Anybody of you? What is EMG? It is related to what measurement? Muscle activity. It is used to measure the muscle activity. Next is EEG, electroencephalograph. It is related to the brain related activity. Okay, this is then the expirograph. So that expirograph, it is used for measurement of the expiration. Generally, what is the rate of expiration that can be able to measure? Phonocardiograph, that is the PCG. It is related to the sounds related to the heart. Okay, ECG is nothing but the sounds related to the heart. plethysmograph, then thermograph, tomograph. Here the slices. That means what? If you see the computed tomography, that means what? The different images of the brain is taken in different angles in slices, and that it will be studied. Okay, so you will good to know when we will study that introduction about the computed tomography and the MRI. Ultrasonograph, that is the sonography. Okay, so by using the ultrasound technology, you can use the ultrasound waves in order to look into the body and see what is happening inside the body. Okay, radiograph, X-ray, you are very well aware of finding out the bone structure. Okay, chest X-ray or this, then this is what you have come across maybe in the hospitals. Okay, so these are the various recording instruments. Recording means what? It is going to record. It is measuring. Actually, ECG heart measurements is done and then it is recorded. Then it is recorded. Okay, so if you want to know how it looks like, so you can see that basically the ECG structure or ECG, you can, I'll tell you how the ECG looks like. This is P, Q, R, yes. Okay, so PQRST waveform. This is called as the PQRST waveform. ECG, PQRST waveform. That you will study it. Okay. So this is about the recording instruments. Then monitoring instrument. The bedside monitor, biomonitor, or fetal monitors. Okay. So bedside monitor means what? The instruments which are used for the monitoring purpose mainly. Okay. Main purpose of the instruments here in this case is the monitoring. Okay. So fetal, what is meant by fetal? Fetus. What is this word meaning? Fetus. Any of you can tell me what is the meaning of this fetus? Vaibhav Farkande, है का? Are you there in the class? Vaibhav?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what is the meaning of fetus? Do you know? If you know, you tell. Otherwise, you tell. Don't know. No problem. माहिती आहे का?
No, sir, don't know.
नाही आहे. बरोबर. दुसऱ्या कोणाला माहिती आहे? कोण सांगू शकतं? कोमल सांगू शकते?
No, sir. No idea.
नो आयडिया. आता एनी अदर स्टुडंट हॅव्हिंग आयडिया? ज्याला कुणाला माहित असेल त्याने सांगा.
Sir, an unborn baby is called as fetus till it's born.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Who is speaking? कोण बोलतंय?
Sir, Sakshi Temburne.
Sakshi Temburne, you are right. Okay. So a baby in the womb of the mother, म्हणजे बाळ जेव्हा आईच्या पोटामध्ये असतं ना त्याला फिटस असं म्हणतात. ओके. आणि त्या फिटसचे मेजरमेंट पण आपण करू शकतो फिटल मॉनिटर. ओके, बाय युझिंग अवर इन्स्ट्रुमेंटेशन. म्हणजे बघा हाऊ मीन्स यू हॅव चोजन द ब्रँच which is used for the measurement of these biological parameters, and this is a very great thing. So you can use your engineering principles in order to measure all these activities happening in the body, all the activities happening and happening in the baby. Okay, so this is very interesting. When we study particularly this particular topics, no, that time you will come to know. So it is very much interesting, and that time we are going to study and we are going to just go ahead of this measurements. Okay. Now analyzing instruments, these are the different analyzing instruments: colorimeter, spectrometer, or flame photometer. Okay. So these are also used. Then data logging instruments, which is nothing but whatever data we are going to measure or obtain from the instruments, that data we are going to just record or store. So where we can be able to store? We are going to store that data in the computer. Okay, so that is the data logger. Simple meaning that you know about this. Okay. Then the controlling instruments. These are the different controlling instruments: the defibrillator, dialysis, and heart-lung machine. Okay. So this defibrillator, it is nothing but the instrument which is used for avoiding the fibrillation. Fibrillation in the sense what? Whenever there is a unsynchronized activity of the heart, actually there is a sequence. So I am going to explain you after some time. So what is the sequence and how heart functions? So this basically when this rhythm of the heart lost, then that time we are going to use, that is a specific word is there, that is called the fibrillation. And in order to avoid that, we are going to use an instrument which is called the defibrillator. Then second instrument which is controlling, that is the dialysis instrument. Okay, so dialysis, whenever there is a problem in the functioning of the kidney, then that functioning of the kidney will taken place externally by an instrument. Okay, so that hemodialyzer of the name of that instrument, and that will get done the function of the kidney, that is the dialysis function, and that is what is the instrument we can call it as a dialysis instrument. Okay, then we have the heart lung machine. So the heart lung machine is basically, we can say, ventilator. Okay, ventilator. So that it is going to do the function of this. Now next is the medical classification. So diagnostic instruments. These are the instruments used for the medical. Okay. So endoscope. Endoscopy generally it is used in order to just view the internal body parts, like stomach. Basically the stomach. Okay. Then stethoscope, it is used to just listen to the sounds of the heart. Microscope, we can be able to just obtain and see the microscope. Then therapeutic instrument, these are the ultrasound therapy, electrosurgery, nuclear medicine, shortwave diathermy. These are the therapeutic instruments where we can be able to just provide. Like suppose for example, if you take a nuclear medicine, so in the nuclear medicine, we are going to give some uh, radioactive material to swallow in a very small amount with a safe limit dose, and that is swallowed by a specific patient or person under consideration, and then the images will be obtained, and how that path it is follows, that it will be obtained. Supplementary instrument, that is aid for blind. Hearing aid, that upon hearing aid, that you know that we can, the persons who are having the hearing disability or their this, that is hearing capacity is very low, they are going to use the hearing aid. Okay, then pacemaker, when the heart pulses or beats of the heart are somewhere fast or slow, in order to bring it into the proper rhythm, the instrument is used which is called as the pacemaker. Okay, so if the heart is beating fast, then that instrument has take care of how the heart is beating fast, so let's make it slow, so that instrument will take over the pacing of the heart, make it proper, and then again give it to the heart function. Okay, so it is, you can say it is an interface. Okay, so we'll see how it will get done. Okay, because their comparison has to be done between these two things, between the heart and your instrument. If the heart is beating fast, then pacemaker will take over. If the pacemaker is doing if the heart is beating normally, then the heart will take over. Okay, so the comparison will be done over there. Then the functional instruments, based upon the functional instrument, the classification based upon the blood, that is the related to the blood parameters for measurements. These are the listing of the instruments. Okay, so like blood pressure meter, we have blood pH meter, we have blood flow meter, we have blood cell counter, we have calorimeter, we have photometer, flame photometer, digital blood pressure meter. Okay, so all these are related to this measure. Then second functional, second organ is taken as a heart, and with respect to heart, what are the basic instruments that are used to measure the heart activity? Okay, maybe the functioning of the heart, like beating of the heart, how the heart beats, how this specifically the cycle is repeated sequentially. So that is what is the ECG, electrocardiogram. That's what we have studied. Then pacemaker. Pacemaker, again it is related to the heart. Just now I told defibrillator in order to avoid the asynchronous activity of the heart lung machine, that is in order to take care of the purification and oxygenated blood provision, then bedside monitor, plethysmograph, electronic stethoscope, and phonocardiogram. Okay. So these are the heart instruments classification. Then the brain instruments like EEG, electroencephalograph, which is used for measurement of the brain activity or the brain signals. Okay. Tomograph, it is nothing but doing the measurement in the slices in the various angle, that is 360-degree angle, and going to measure the activity of the brain. Then the muscle instruments, EMG, electromyogram. Even the muscle stimulators are there, where suppose you want to record the twitching of the muscle. That means what? If suppose you want to see what is that strength of that particular muscle, how long it will withstand with the weight, okay, or how long it is having a capacity to withhold a weight of so and so kg. Okay. So that in order to check that, external stimulation is given and how the muscle contracts or relax, that it will be measured. Okay. So that is coming under the muscle instruments. Then kidney instruments, that is dialysis. Just now as I told, the hemodialysis machine is there. Ear instruments, audiometer and hearing aid. This is about the functional instruments and its classification. Okay. For measurement of the eye, the different aids for the blind, these are the supplementary instruments. Then oculometer is there. Even again, if you want to measure the electrical activity related to the eye movement, it is called as the EOG. Okay. Electrooculogram. Okay. Electrooculogram. This might be the new term for you, but this I think EOG, what you are going to measure, this particularly signals generated by the eye will get intermixed with the muscle signals or with the brain signals. Okay, that means it is a EMG or EEG. So see here, whatever the subjects you have studied, maybe you have studied the signal systems and the digital signal processing. So whenever you want to find out the signal, if you are interested in finding out the signal of the EEG, but that EEG signal won't come standalone. This signal comes in combination with the EOG and EMG. Okay, so you need to use the different filters, and by using that filters you can just remove out EOG and EMG so that you can get only EEG, and then you can do the analysis. Otherwise what will happen, whatever analysis you will do, that analysis will get wrong. Okay, so the first step is you need to separate out the signals, and these signals are having a very low potential, maybe in the terms of the millivolt or microvolt, and that signals when you want to separate out, and these are intermixed, maybe it is having the same frequency, these are non-stationary signals. So non-stationary signals, again it is a very much challenge. Okay, so your job is very challenging job. So how can we be able to apply these filters and how these signals will be separated out? Okay. Then the spirometer is the lung instruments which is used for measurement of the activity of the lung, that is the different lung capacities and the lung volumes we can be able to measure by using the spirometer. Then this physiotherapy instruments, diathermy, short wave, vibrator or microwave diathermy. So this is the basically a classification. Now what are the different areas or derivatives where we can be able to understand this particularly measurements related to the biomedical? So that is one of the thing is the biometrics. Okay, so we can be able to, metrics means it is a measurement. Okay, measurement and bio, it related to the physiology. So the physiological variables and the parameters we can be able to measure, that comes under the So man-machine system is there. What is this man-machine system? Man-machine system is nothing but a classical exercise in biomedical engineering analysis which involves the measurement of the output from an unknown system. Okay, so what our body system or ourself we can consider it as a black box, because it is having a different systems. You have a cardiovascular system, you have a digestive system, you have a respiratory system, and these are interdependent systems. So one system will get affected with the other will get affected with the third one. Okay. So whatever measurements we are going to measure, that is not known. That's what it is termed as a black box. Okay. Now since the earlier the lot of measurements is taken, some empirical data is taken, and based upon that empirical data some inferences are drawn, and that inferences have become the standards, and we are considering that this is a standard. We are saying that 72 bits per minute is the standard. So this is based upon the empirical data and depending upon the normal human beings where the measurements will be done. Okay, so this is what is the man machine systems, where we are going to use different instruments for measurement of body parameters. Now the signals, what signals our body generate is specific term we are going to use it here onwards, that is called as the biopotential signals. Okay. So our human body is a source of various biopotential signals, okay, which are useful during the physiological, clinical and therapeutic biological activities of the living body. Okay. So these signals can be picked up from the surface of the body or from within the body. It's either you can take the measurements over the surface of the body, like you can see, if you go to the doctor for measurement of the blood pressure, doctor will wrap a rubber cuff on your arm, and then he will just increase the pressure in that cuff. Okay, so that is over the surface of your arm. The pressure of the blood in the artery is measured by an instrument. That is what it is called as the blood pressure meter or BP meter. Okay, so that is what from the surface of the body it will be measured. So these signals are used for studying in the biomedical studies, different studies it will be used. Okay. So this black box, we are considering ourselves a human body as in a black box. So what all are the system it consisting of? It is consisting of the different systems. So what are the systems? Can you name the systems? Chemical systems are available. Different chemical reaction or chemical changes has been happened to you. Sometimes you can feel tense, sometimes you can feel relaxed. Okay, this is what is the action of the chemical reaction that is happening inside our body. Generation of some uh, uh, chemicals inside the body. Then physical systems, electrical systems, since it is producing some signals, microvolt, millivolt, the electrical signal is produced by the body. That's what we are calling it as a biopotential signals. Then thermal signals like temperature, hydraulic signals, the blood flow inside the body, pneumatic signals, the respiratory system where we can have the air breathe in and breathe out, purification of the air, acoustical systems where we can be able to just measure the sound, magnetical systems, mechanical systems, and all these systems on the above the top they are interacting with each other. They are not separate, they are interacting with each other. Okay, so it all consists of a powerful computer or a communication system, that is our nervous system that it is present. Okay, which is carrying the signal from the brain to the different parts of the body. Okay. So these are nothing but the categorizing, it is called as the biopotential signals. So whenever we say a biopotential signal, it is nothing but the signal which will be generated by the human body, and specifically by the different systems we can be able to measure it in the different units, and different strength of the signals will be different. Now then instrumentation system we are going to apply. What is our instrumentation system? This is already so it is a measurement and the control. So we can have a set of instruments and basically the equipments that is utilized in the measurement of one or more characteristics or phenomenon and presentation of that information obtained from those measurements in a form that can be read or interpreted or recorded and preserved by man. Okay. So you can be able to read means what are the signals that you can be able to know. You can be able to interpret the signal. So based upon the different waveforms, what is the normal waveform, what is the abnormal waveform, that you can be able to record, and that data can be logged in the computer, and somewhere later on you can be able to compare that data with the latest data of the human being. Okay, like that means if you have taken your measurement of the ECG today, and later on after an year you have taken that ECG measurement, so you are having the data logged with you of the earlier ECG and the current ECG, and you can measure both the measure, you can just compare both the waveforms, and you can interpret the data and find out the specifically the what is the difference between that. Okay, and actually the part of the diagnosis will be done by the doctors themselves. Our role is basically to the instruments, basically how the instrument will be operating properly and how exactly and precisely it will be giving the output, because these measurements are doing on the human body. Okay, so if any wrong mistake if you are doing, if you are doing any mistakes, that will be causing the causality to the health of the human being. Okay, that's what the instrument whichever prepared or whichever will be developed or designed in the biomedical area has to be passed through the various quality checks and the various norms and the various standards. Those standards are defined by the specifically by the governments, and you need to get the approval from the government in order to bring it into the market and bring it into the use. Okay, so that's what you can be able to understand the time taken in order to get the instruments, biomedical instruments to come into the field for measurements. Okay, now another thing is the area which is called as the information gathering, where we are going to take all the variables, and that variables we are going to just take a measurement on that variables. Okay, another area is the diagnosis. So we can do the diagnosis if your instrument is there, if that instrument whether it is properly functioning or not, that you can do a diagnosis. Then you have some troubleshooting of the equipments will be available. Like if the instrument is not showing any power, then we check the power supply, or the instrument is not showing that much reading, let us check this resistance value, all these things that it will be given. Okay, so these are the specifically parts that it come. And once all this thing is done, the evaluation, that is proof of performance, as I told, quality checks or quality control tests. That quality control test has to be completed. Now, monitoring few instruments are the monitoring instruments which are used to monitor some processes or operations in order to obtain continuous or periodic information about the state of system being measured. Then control, few of the things that we can be able to take a control of the operation, like what we can in case of the dialysis, we can say that we can have a hemodialysis machine where you can do functioning of the kidney outside. Okay, what is the waste material that it is extracted. Okay, so that functions can be done outside of the human being. So that is what is a sort of control, little bit of control. Okay, so because we cannot be able to just take control on the any human being. Okay, every individual is having its own characteristics, okay, or its own parameters. Okay, that's what we can be able to see whenever you go for the pathology for any tests. You can find the readings are in the range, not one single value. Okay, it is in the range because every individual is different. So that's what we can use the word that the measurement is the subjective in case of the biomedical. Okay, the measurement is subjective. Okay, so this classification of the instruments are classified into two types, like clinical and the research instruments. So what are the clinical instruments which are used in the clinic for the diagnosis, patient care, or the treatment of the patient? Simply. Okay. And research instrument, by using that instrument, the research will be done on the specific instruments. Now these two terms are important. So you will come across these particular terms whenever you refer to the different books. Like you can, for this subject, I told that you can refer to the Kanpur or the Cromwell book over there. If you are interested in going in the electronic side, then you can go for the Carr and Brown book. If you are going for the signal processing kind of thing, you can go for the Rangayan's book, which is already listed in the textbook and the reference books. And already I have explained you in the very first beginning of the this session and a lecture. Okay. So this in vivo and in vitro, these are the two measurements that it will be divided into the two categories. So first one is the in vivo measurements. So in vivo measurements are made on or within the living organism itself. Okay, that is a device inserted into the bloodstream to measure the pH of the blood directly is coming in the category of the in vivo. Another category is the in vitro, where in vitro measurements are made outside the body, even though it relates to the functions of the body. That is the with related to the same example. So measurement of the pH of sample of the blood that has been drawn from the patient, that is in vitro. Outside the body, we are going to take the measurements. And in vivo means what? Inside the body, the measurements will be taken. Okay, so these are the two words which will be used generally whenever the measurements are done inside or outside. Either it is in vivo or in vitro. Another terminology that comes across to you whenever you study is the subject. Okay. So the subject is nothing but the human being on whom the measurements are made. Okay. So we are going to take the measurements on a person, on a human being, and that subject, that is called as the, instead of patient, it is called as the subject. Okay. Then stimulus is another terminology which is used in the biology. So in many measurements, the response to some form of external stimulus is required. Okay. So suppose you want to study the eye blinking, आणि समजा तुमच्यावर एक लाईट फ्लॅश केला, फ्लॅश ऑफ लाईट, दॅट स्टिम्युलस इज व्हिज्युअल. ओके, दॅट इज अ स्टिम्युलस, म्हणजे बाहेरचा लाईट फ्लॅश करणे इज अ स्टिम्युलस. देन इफ सपोज यू वॉन्ट टू रिलॅक्स, व्हॉट यू विल डू. समजा आता दिवसभर तुम्ही लेक्चर केले सगळे अटेंड and you are just tired, and once you go to home, what you will do for getting relaxed? सांगा. अथर्व ढोक आहे का? अथर्व, अथर्वा.
येस सर.
हा, तू आता दिवसभर लेक्चर केले सगळे, मग तुला कंटाळा आला, बोर झालं, अरे बाप रे किती सरांनी शिकवलं एवढं सगळं, आणि घरी गेल्यावर रिलॅक्स होण्यासाठी काय करतोस तू?
सर एखादी बुक रीड करतो.
बुक रीड करतो, परत कंटाळा येणार नाही का? इतकं सगळं ऐकल्यानंतर परत जर बुक रीड करायचं म्हणलं तर कंटाळा येणार नाही?
सर नाही सर, इट इज माय हॉबी.
हा, हॉबी, हॉबी. ओके, एखादं दुसरं पुस्तक वाचशील, बरोबर, असं स्टोरी वगैरेचं काहीतरी वाचशील, बरं,
येस सर.
किंवा म्युझिक ऐकशील, बरोबर.
येस सर.
हा, हे दिस इज अ काइंड ऑफ एक्सटर्नल स्टिम्युलस टू द बॉडी. When we are listening to the music, that means what? We are just taking an external stimulus in the form of music as an auditory music, and you are going to listen to that and you will feel relaxed. Okay, so that is what is the external stimulus. हा पण कधी कधी आपल्याला द्यायला लागतो मेजरमेंट करताना. आता सपोज काय, सपोज आज आहे ना व्हिज्युअल स्टिम्युलस आहे, म्हणजे डोळ्यावर आपण लाईट पडला तर आपल्या EEG सिग्नल म्हणजे ब्रेन सिग्नल्स मध्ये पण व्हेरिएशन्स येतात इफ यू गिव्ह अन एक्सटर्नल स्टिम्युलस, आणि ते कशा प्रकारचे येतात हे आपल्याला स्टडी करता येतं त्यावर. ओके, वी कॅन बी एबल टू जस्ट स्टडी दॅट. Then the transducers are there. It is your part only, so absolutely no problem that you know. So one form of energy when we are converting to the another form, and this is the basic structure in our basic thing in our instrumentation system, and we are going to use it for measurement of the different parameters by using that. Another is the signal processing unit. Just I told that once you measure the signals, then that signals will be, you have to filter out the signal or you have to separate out the signals. Okay, in order to satisfy the functions of the specific signals or to prepare the signals suitable for operating the display or recording equipment that follows. Okay, so it is just a part of the DSP. So whatever the signals are there, that signals are intermixed with each other. So you need to just read the signal. You need to find out what is the signal for the individual. Like suppose, for example, we have taken the signal is a combination of the signal of the ECG, EOG, EEG, and EMG. So you must know what is the EOG signal. You must know what is the EEG signal. You must know what is the EMG signal. If you know exactly that signal, you can subtract it out or you can filter it out, and you will get only the signal of the interest. That is nothing but the basically a whatever signal of interest. Maybe EEG is there, then EMG and EOG you are going to just remove it out. Okay, display machine, that is the indications we are going to use for indicating the data. Recording, this recording ECG, EEG, EMG, EOG, these are used for the recording purpose. And few of the instruments are the control, that's the hemodialysis machine that we have studied and studied. Okay, so these are the different devices that it will be present. So this is the first part, that is the what is the classification of the different instruments. Then what are the classification criterias based upon the engineering classification or based upon the medical classification. Then what are the different instruments coming under that classifications. Then what are the different terminologies that is used in the biomedical field in the book, what you are going to find, and what is the instrumentation system associated with these instruments. Okay, so basically I'll show one of the block diagram that I'll share to you, and then we will stop. Okay, I think you are going to see this diagram. It is a block diagram for the man instrument system. So this is man. So for measurement of the signals, you will require the transducers, which are shown over here. So different parameters we want to measure, that's what the different transducers are shown over here. Then you will require to have the signal conditioning of that equipment, whatever the signals are there, filtering of the signal or removing the noise, okay, or amplifying the signal. These things it will be get done in the signal conditioning circuit. And then indication of that specific measured signal which is of the interest. And similarly, parallelly, we can be able to record or data processing or transmission of the data of that specific measurements done. Okay, and if you control is there, that loop it is connected over here, you can be able to see as an instrumentation. Okay, here again you can see in this block diagram, stimulus block is there, which will be able to give a stimulus to the human being, and based upon the stimulus, the signals will vary, and that signals will be measured, and then again it will be measured and compared with the earlier signal. Okay, compared with the earlier signal. Okay, so this is about the thing. Well, again, similar kind of thing, but from the different book. I will show here. I'll share you the specific block diagram and then we'll stop. This is not. This is the diagram. This is from the book of the Cromwell. So you can find the detail blocks here. In the earlier one, simple 2-3 blocks have shown, like human body or subject, then transducer, then signal conditioning, then video, then display, recording or control feedback. But here you can see the details blocks present. Okay, so the physiological system of patient is given, then signals which are related to the body, that's what it is called the biomedical signals. It is given to the transducers. Then you have to separate out the noise, that's what the, as well as to increase the level of that signal. So that is isolation pre-amplifier. Then amplifier and the filters are used in order to just remove out the unwanted signals, noise, and get only the wanted signals. Then as we are dealing the signals with the digitally, that was we have to convert the signals into the digital one. The block itself will mention. So all these blocks comes under the acquisition of the data, that is signal data acquisition. And then you need to do the processing of the signal, like filtering to remove the artifacts. That means some noise are there or movement, because of the movement of the leads connected to the patient, the signals will vary. That is filtering to remove the artifacts is required. Then events and component detection, that is signal processing. Then analysis of the events and waves and the pattern recognition. Okay, so this is the basic computer aided diagnosis. Okay, so when we start the next lecture, that time also we will revisit this thing and we can have a discussion on this also. Okay, so for today, if you have any questions, you can ask it. Otherwise, we will just close the session. See, Omkar, you have written the heart. So the spelling of the heart you should write it properly. Okay, because of WhatsApp, all your habits are getting corrupted. Okay, so you use the proper English spelling for that specific word. Understand? Okay. So any doubts? Anybody having? You can ask. Okay, then we'll stop here.